Hey guys, it's TLDR here with a new Demon Hunter video. It's mostly just a greater Rift level 40 gameplay video with some side commentary on how the different M6 builds feel, the gems, the gear, and the issues that currently exist with greater Rifts. Keep in mind please that this is coming from a solo Demon Hunter point of view, so not everything here will apply to party gameplay. Also, this is the second day of the patch, so things are still fresh depending on which point in time you'll be seeing this. About the builds then, having tried out both fire, physical and cold, I must say that even though on paper fire was ahead, in actual gameplay physical and cold pulled ahead by quite a large margin, and this all seems to be due to ballistics. If you're planning to compete on the solo leaderboards, you'll be looking at max 40% elemental damage, while in most cases you'll actually be down to 20%. Don't worry about this too much though, since the legendary gems will be making up for this and then some. You'll also be taking advantage of both Cold the Weak passive and Bane of the Trap gem, which will boost your damage against slowed mobs by more than significant amounts. The reason why both physical and cold are so much better, in my opinion at least, is that most of the time at high greater Rift levels, the mobs will be quite spread out, so the grenades from Loaded for Bear won't really do that much, whereas the rockets from both Shooting Stars and Maelstrom will be actively chasing targets all around your screen. Maelstrom will have 5 rockets, each dealing 900% weapon damage, while Shooting Stars has 3 rockets, each dealing 1200% weapon damage. This, by the way, is calculated after the ballistics talent comes into play. You'll be seeing a more hybrid approach to the elements used on your spenders, simply because A, ballistics is such a powerful passive that it's a complete waste not to have most of your spenders taking advantage of it, and B, you'll be having way less elemental damage overall on your gear that's focused on a single element to create a relevant gap between the different elements on your spenders. The physical build I'm running here was mostly due to wanting to test out my Hellfire Amulet, which was pretty bad by the way. Basically forced me to go physical if I wanted to use it, and had a semi-decent passive, Single Out, which would in most cases be up for the really high HP mobs, Spread Out Elites and Rift Guardian, since the low HP trash would be too close to each other for the passive to count, but that one dies fast anyway. In case you don't know what the passive does, it's basically a 25% crit chance increase against mobs who are 20 yards away from each other. Either way, the cold build I'm running with is pretty much identical, except using Maelstrom instead of Shooting Stars. Now there's also another problem with the rockets from Cluster Arrow, both cold and physical, and reason why in some cases Shooting Stars would be better than Maelstrom. While attacking a single target, the whole 5 rockets, or 3 in Shooting Stars' case, will not all hit the target, so in that case you're better off with more damage on each rocket. Generally speaking though, Maelstrom should pull ahead on trash, while Shooting Stars would be better on single targets like really high HP mobs or Rift Guardian. About the gems, you'll be looking at 3 right now. You'll need to socket your rings and amulet to take advantage of them. There's Bane of the Trapped, Bane of the Powerful, and Enforcer. Personally, I'd recommend starting out with Enforcer and Bane of the Trapped, and keeping Bane of the Powerful as the last gem, and only use it after you've leveled it to 25, to take advantage of the 15% elite damage secondary. Enforcer and Bane of the Trap don't really need that much of an introduction, as both are pretty clear in what they do. One buffs your pet damage, which by the way sentries count as pets. The other buffs your damage against mobs affected by control impairing effects. Slow also falls into this category in Diablo. The gear, well, is pretty much the usual. Mara 6 set, Tasker and Theo to reach the different breakpoints, 2.16 with two-hander, 2.84 with a bow, Ring of Royal Grandeur, Unity, Sentry damage on shoulders, chest and quiver, Cluster Arrow damage on boots and headpiece. Might actually take Vitality instead of this on the helmet if you're lacking on toughness. String of Years or Witching Hour as a belt, again depending on scenario. Now about the toughness you should aim for, I'd recommend to aim for as much as you need to survive a jailer cast, as in not proc your awareness either. This can vary depending on the level of greater Rift you'll be doing, but to give you a rough estimate, I was around 12 million toughness in-game to survive jailer on level 41, barely, while having full HP beforehand, and that's with Unity by the way. About the follower, I'd recommend running with a Templar, since he has 2 heals for you which you'll be needing quite often, both on an individual 30-second cooldown. As equipment of course, the relic that makes him immortal, the Unity, and I like to use the S of Joe hand to pull the mobs together, also far away from me, as well as the Thunder Fury to slow them down and their attacks. Now my personal issues with the Rifts, and I think you might find them familiar if you've already been running them yourself since the patch came. Too much randomness. Sure, the randomness won't make you magically jump from say level 30 to 40, but in the 39 to 40 range, at this point in time at least, it matters too damn much. The progress which each mob is giving is also flawed. There's some mobs like imps or other low HP ones that give almost no progress at all, yet other mobs with almost similar HP and difficulty in killing that give a lot, like zombies for example. Sand wasps, corrupted angels, the stone mobs from Act 5 that block all the time, shielding on elites, and many other annoying mechanics that aren't exactly hard, yet they don't reward you with any extra progress for wasting so much time to deal with them. The Rift Guardians are also working differently in greater rifts. On higher levels, where you'll be taking a lot of time to kill them, you'll notice that they have a softened rage, and they'll start using their abilities more often the longer it takes you to kill them. For demon hunters at least, the worst ones are the ones that spawn adds, since your sentries will always prioritize shooting white mobs instead of elites, meaning they'll stop DPSing the Rift Guardian and focus on his adds instead. In other words, you can get lucky with an easy Rift Guardian, which can make the difference between completing the Rift and failing it. As an example, on level 40, the Rift Guardian has 40 billion HP, while the mobs he spawns can have up to 600 million. That's a lot of extra HP to take into consideration. And then there's the density plus map layout. The density seems to be quite well balanced overall, but there are still some cases, let's say 5% as a random number, but pretty low either way, when you'll have a rift with almost no mobs and then one filled with zombies everywhere that you almost will complete in half the time. They did mention that the density is currently bugged somewhat, so there's still hope for now. Anyway, that's the info I wanted to share with you guys. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.